Trust me, even if you use go to special, you're going to find something really valuable and immediately usable after watching this video. This is called notes. In older version, these things were called comments. So now older comments are called notes and newer comments are a different ball game now. If you create a new comment now, it completely looks and behaves different. This is designed for collaboration and this is also designed to make it similar with Word and PowerPoint. So what is the specialty about this? Of course, it's like a comment, but here you can put @mention and put people's names, email IDs, and then communicate with them. This file will get shared with the boss, and in the email itself, that person can reply to the comment without even opening the file or even saying reply to the mail. So it's next level of collaboration. In fact, you can even assign a task to your boss through this. So this is called the modern comment, if you want to call it that way. The older ones are still there, not dead, but they are now renamed as notes. So go to special notes. What is it going to do? It's just going to select all the cells which have notes or the older comments. And what do I do with it? There are very few bulk things I can do with notes. For example, I can't edit all the notes together. I can't show and hide a note because there's a single note. Only thing I can really do here at the bulk level is delete notes. Now, will show hide notes work? No, it'll only hide or show the current one. So the only bulk activity I can do is delete all of them quickly. The next one is a little tricky. Many people get confused with it because it's constants, formulas. People know about formulas. What are constants? Constants means things which are not formulas. They could be text, number, date, logical, error, whatever. Not error. Error comes from formula. So now why would I want to do that? So let's take a practical example first. I have a set of numbers and formulas here. I'll just show you where the formulas are. Control and tilde sign shows you formulas. So some have formulas, some have data. So those things which don't have formulas are constants. Question is, why would I select all the cells containing formulas? What is the point? What am I going to achieve? Am I going to delete all of them? Does not make sense. But if there is a feature, it has to make sense in some context. So think, when will I use it? Always you're going to have data and formulas. You're going to not remember tomorrow after 6 months which one is formula, which one is data. So why not visually clarify it? And that's exactly why there are cell styles. There is a specific style. Style basically means a collection of different formatting attributes already created for identifying which cells contain calculation. Similar thing is for input, means data. So what I want is all the cells which contain formulas should have that style applied. So no confusion. So now Control A, one block. One more Control A will select the whole sheet. Now I need to select cells containing what? Select cells containing formulas. And that's where go to special formulas. And now that all the formulas are selected, in one stroke, I can apply the desired formatting. Great. Now let's do the same thing for constants, means values which I intend to enter. Again, go to special constants, but this is going to have a side effect. It selected this one as well as this one as well as this one. So because constant means constant, but maybe I am only interested in numbers which are to be input. Fair enough. Now actually I can work within the selection. So that's another thing about go to special, which applies everywhere. If nothing is selected, it is going to work across the sheet. But if something is already selected, it is going to work within that selection. And that's the situation here. I've already selected constants. Now if I say go to special, again I go to constant, but this time I say I don't want text, logical and errors. Then it's only going to keep the cells which contain actual numeric values. And now, again, in one click, I can apply the correct style, in this case, input. So this is how you standardize the look and feel of your Excel sheet so that nobody gets confused in the process. Less errors, more clarity. Now there is one more purpose of this. Let's say this was sort of a one-time calculation you did, and then you realize, oh, this thought process, this linked formula, whatever I have done is reusable, and let's make a template out of it. Now if you need to make a template out of it, don't you think you'll have to remove all the current input numbers? And that's another use case for go to special constants. So select all of them, Of course, make a copy, select all of them, delete them, and what remains is a template, which can be now easily used for further data entry or standardization of this format. Great. Now let's move further. The next one in go to special category is blanks. Multiple scenarios, I'll give you two where it is useful. What does it do? It just goes and selects blanks all over the place. That's not very useful. So generally when we are talking about go to select blank, first we select a range and within that we are looking for blanks. Now what am I trying to do here? I want to remove those rows which are entirely empty. And I don't want to use sort because then the order gets disturbed. No problem. I have selected. Actually, I could have selected one column as well. And then I'm going to say within this selection, you look for and select blanks. Done. And now what do? Everything you do after go to select blank, it's a selection. It's temporary. If you click anywhere outside, it's disturbed. So while it is there, right click and say delete. And of course, we want to delete entire row and job done. So that's how you quickly remove empty rows. There's one more situation where this is useful. This is not for removing empty rows, it is for filling empty cells. Now what is the problem here? As a human being, I know this is Jan, this is October, this is FY19, this is FY20. But as a machine, as Excel thinks all of them are empty. So if I sort it on amount, for example, all the blanks will come together and you'll lose all the context and meaning. So obviously this has happened to you. By the way, this was a copy paste from pivot table. Don't fill it up manually. In pivot table itself, there is a menu option under layout drop down which says repeat all item labels. But let's assume you don't have a pivot table and then you have to fill the blanks. Then what do? You select the region where you would like to fill the blanks. Again, go to special blanks. Now I don't want to disturb the selection. Whatever I do is going to disturb. No. Formula I want to enter. And whatever you do to select, there's going to be an active cell, which is right below Jan here, C6. And now I say equal to, which is a formula, and say whatever comes above, put it there. But wait, don't press enter. If you press enter, it will go only in that cell. Press Control Enter. It's going to copy across the cells, and that's how you fill gaps. Isn't that brilliant? But wait, it's not yet brilliant. Wait, hold on. So far so good, but remember these are formulas. If something gets sorted or anything else, it's going to get disturbed because these are still calculating. So before anything untoward happens, select that range again and do what? Copy paste as value. Now you're good to go. Now this may sound like a very interesting, intelligent and efficient way of filling gaps, which it is, but now there is a much better way. You use Power Query to do it. In Power Query, you just get the data with the gaps, select the columns which need to be filled up, and then all that you have to say, right click, fill down or up. Why down or up? Because it depends on whether it was in chronological or reverse chronological order. And the benefit of Power Query is tomorrow when the data grows, you don't have to repeat the process. You just say refresh. Whereas here, if I get more data with gaps, I'll have to repeat this process every time. So just because it's working doesn't mean it's the best. There may always be a better method. Moving on, what about current region? Well, that's simple. If I have nothing in the current cell and nothing around it, I press current region. Current region is equivalent to Control A, select all. So special current region, basically Control A equivalent. So if I do that, what happens? The whole sheet is selected. Now if I click here and say Control G, Control Alt S, region. Now what happens? Only that much because it had a contiguous value. Now if I go here, notice this doesn't have anything except here. So it's going to travel, but there was a gap. So it stopped there. Now if I do it here, again it stopped. If I do it here, so it depends on how contiguous they are. Now if I delete this row and now click here, notice it's going to go above all the way. Now when you have already selected something, for example this, and then you press Ctrl A again, it's going to select the whole sheet. This didn't happen in older versions, so we never noticed it when that new feature was introduced. In fact, if you have a table, if you're inside a table and press Ctrl A, it only selects the data area. One more Ctrl A, headers also get selected. and one more Control A, the sheet gets selected. So it's a multi-layered command. And like that, there are arrays. So there's a proper array formula. And then Control A does work, but traditionally it's called select current region, and Control / is the shortcut. Control A also works. Now Excel is a sheet. It's just one whole big grid, rows and columns. But there are other things which float on top of the data. So buttons, charts, icons, shapes, pictures, everything. Now question is, how do you select them? Of course, if I want to select one of them, I select like this or click on this. Now what if I want to select all of them? Now this is intuitive. So if you have one of these items selected, which is a different layer than Excel sheet itself, which is the underlying layer, Control A still works here. The equivalent of that is, even if no object is selected, go to Special and Objects. That will select all objects in one go. There is another command available, Control Alt and 5. That will select one item. Now you can actually navigate using Tab Shift Tab, and if you press Shift Control Space at this point, it will select all of them, for those who like shortcuts. Another one. This is the same kind of formula we saw earlier, but earlier the objective was to format the cells containing formulas and values. Now it's a different thing. The idea is, again, I'm showing you the formulas. So what is happening here? There's monthly revenue. Now that is getting summed somewhere, and then there is something, and then there is something. So formula, a linked set of formulas. Very good. But now I want to know, this is calculated based on what? So you say F2 and you can see this. Another equivalent of that is to go to Formulas tab and say Trace Precedents or Control opening square bracket. That will actually create an arrow or set of arrows depending on how many inputs were there. If I want to go next level, the common mistake people do is they click here and then say Trace Precedents. Absolutely do not do that. To actually trace precedents with these arrows, you go to the final cell, click on Trace Precedents, don't change the cursor, just stay there, keep clicking Trace Precedents. It automatically finds out the further precedents in all directions. This is amazing. But the only problem is, how will you know when to stop? Because it may be far away, it may not be visible. Good question. So let me continue to keep clicking Trace Precedents. Somehow I will know. How? Did you hear the beep? When it beeps, that means it has reached the lowest level values in all directions, and then you stop. Isn't that brilliant? Same concept works in the reverse way for trace dependent. So this is a value. I want to see which formula depends on this and on that and on that and on that. And finally a beep. Now this is where the arrows go. Instead of that, I just want to select the cells which are dependents or precedents. I go to a formula cell, go to Special, Precedents. Direct only means what? One level. Just whatever is written here, whoever is mentioned here, they will be visible, selected. And if I say all levels, it is like actually having clicked on trace precedents many times till I hear the beep. All of that happened in one click here by saying all levels. Beautiful. And as though this is not enough, what is the idea here? If I say go to Special, Dependents, Precedents, whatever you say, direct only, and while they are selected, if I again go to Special, Precedents, direct only, it will go to the next level. So in that sense, it is a layered command like Trace Precedents. Now, last cell is comparatively simple. Probably all of you know it. So Excel sheets have a first cell and a last cell. First cell is fixed, A1. Last cell changes depending on how much data is there. And why you need to know where is the last cell? Because Excel actually stores information from the first cell to the last cell. So if the last cell is far away, the file size is going to be more. That's okay. If you have more data, have more file size. That's okay. Sometimes what happens, the last cell is too far away. The data is small, but the file is large. So that is the time when you need to check. Where is the last cell? Is it too far away? Then delete the unwanted rows. But what is this last cell? It is the last used row, which happens to be this one, and last used column, and a cross section of that. So this is the last cell, M18. You don't have to do this. Control End, or if you want to use go to special last cell. So this is a troubleshooting kind of benefit. Large file, less data, go to each sheet, find the last cell. If it is too far away, delete the unwanted rows and columns. But that's not enough. You have to save the file, close the file, and reopen the file. Only then those things get reset, and you may save significant amount of file size if this is the problem. Now there's another lesser known but really useful one. These two columns look similar. There is some difference I want to know. So find out the difference. Row differences, what is it going to do? It's just going to highlight them. It's not going to format them. If you want to and say, oh, these two are different, you will have to do the formatting. As I told you earlier, go to special, just selects and then leaves everything to you. So go to special, this time column differences, and then you do what you want. Another very common problem, mistake, confusion. I have some months which are hidden because I have hidden some rows. And most people now will want to copy this, and when they paste it somewhere, they expect the hidden ones will not be visible, but they will be visible. That's a problem. No, it's not a problem. That's natural. Why is it natural? Because selection ignores hidden rows and columns. It doesn't bother. Whether it is hidden or not, it's selected. So now before you select, you need to tell Excel, don't select things which are not visible. So I've already selected even that hidden row called March and August, or sorry, May, June, March and June. Now what is happening? I want to tell Excel, even though the rows called March and June are selected, don't bother. So go to special, visible cells only. So it's basically saying I have already selected something. Within that, you do further selection, taking only visible cells. You'll see some gaps there, but the proof of the pudding is actually copying it and then pasting it, and that's exactly what you wanted. Now here is another common problem. I have some data and I've used subtotals to create a subtotal based on the type of card. So I have silver, gold and grand total. Now if I go to second level, I'm going to only see the totals. And most people will want this to be copied, and when you paste it, everything comes. Same story. Select, go to special visible cells only, copy and then paste, and it'll work as expected. Now this is another one. I have different types of conditional formatting applied here. So this is another one. Go to special conditional formatting. What does it do? Well, now again, it has two levels, all and same. So whether it is conditional formatting, we can have same and all. Data validation also same and all. Let's look at conditional formatting. So if I say conditional formatting same, that means whatever is the current cell, what kind of conditional formatting is applied, only that kind, where is it applied? That's what it is asking. So this is where it is applied. Now what I did is I just removed this piece after applying the conditional formatting. So look at it. Go to special conditional formatting same. It remembers that even this piece had that. But if I want to see and select any cell which has any kind of conditional formatting applied, then I go to all, and then all of them will get selected. Similar to conditional formatting, we have data validation. So I've just used a simple list based data validation. There's the range and it's being shown as a drop down. Now what happens? Suppose I add a new item here. And now I want this to be added to the list. Obviously, it's not going to be added to the list. The correct way of doing it is make this a table, then it will work anyway. But never mind. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to click here. I'm saying, okay, I forgot to add that data validation. I'm going to make this 10 to 11. But then only this cell is getting affected. The next ones aren't. Of course, there is an option here called apply these changes to all other cells with the same formatting. So if I click here, notice what happens. It selected the entire range, and then now I am good. So if you want to do that before you go in, you already have a validation applied, and you beforehand want to select all the cells to which this validation is applied. Go to special data validation, same as what? Wherever my current cursor is. And now it selected all of them. And now in one stroke, you can go and change that validation. So that's how go to special is really special. It reduces effort, improves accuracy, and it's not the final result in anything, but it's a good ingredient in many, many efficient processes. Start using it. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with all your colleagues, friends, bosses, loved ones. If you have questions, if I have missed something, I am willing to learn, willing to listen, willing to answer your queries. Do put them as comments. Oh, I recently created another similar video related to navigation about how to create a table of contents in Excel. So do have a look at the video. I'm sure you will learn something useful. So that's it for now. See you next time. Bye bye.